Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your modelers have practically built themselves. Have the table, and the shot glass collection in the back, my figure collection, which we'll go through one of these days and share with you folks. And if I pan up here, well, this is my stash. This is just part of the stash of what's on deck yet.
Hello folks, it's Mad Dog Merv. You know, one thing we've never really covered is what materials do I use to do my modeling with. I know we've been doing all of these videos on modeling, and I guess you kind of figured out what I use, but today let's go over and look at some of the tools that I use to model with. And you know, I've been doing this a very long time. Almost, well, 50 years. I hate to say that, but I've been modeling for 50 years. And so I've tried just about everything. I was a retail store manager in a hobby shop for several years. I was an assistant in 2 different hobby shops for a few years. So I've been around the industry for a very long time, and we've tried a lot of different things over the years. Pretty much everything. So let me show you what I use. Start out with, obviously, well, good old X-Acto knife. But I will tell you what, I am not impressed with the X-Acto blades. So if there's anybody out there from X-Acto listening, I don't like your blades. They break too easily. They didn't used to. They used to be the best blade on the market. But X-Acto number 11s anymore, yeah, I find they dull pretty quick and the tips break real easy. So I don't know what they did, but I need to find another brand of blade. So go ahead and leave me some comments if you would, if there's something that you would recommend that I go to, because I'll tell you what, these number 11s just, yeah, they're not cutting it. So anyway, a hobby knife is number 1 that I use. To me, is extra thin cement, almost exclusively. Now I know that there's other glues out there. Tamiya even has a couple. They have like a yellow capped one and an orange capped one. This is the best stuff on the market, period. It does a great job. It works through capillary action, and we'll demonstrate that here in a few minutes. But really and truly, this is the best glue on the market, and I have used everything, okay? And I get excellent results with it, and the models don't fall apart. So as far as super glue, well, just good old Bob Smith Industries cyanoacrylate, you know, super glue. Most of the time, though, I will use the extra thick to do a lot of cementing with and some gap filling. Although I do have the Instacure, the super thin, as well. The problem with this is it kind of gets everywhere. I'm not a fan of super glue. Yeah, because it gets in places I don't want it to be. It's a necessary evil, especially when you do a lot of photo etch and yeah, that other stuff, resin, yeah, which I do a lot of resin stuff, so it is kind of a necessary evil. But anyway, this is what I use there. As far as paints, well, I really like oil-based paints. I do. It's what I grew up with. I found ways to make them flow very well. What I use mostly, you know what? Every once in a while, I even have some good old Floquil laying around. Whenever I can find the old Floquil, I pick it up. And when I worked in the hobby shop, when Floquil pretty much quit making paint, well, I picked up a lot of it. So I do have a little bit of this left. But testers, Model Master, I do use quite a bit of the Model Master, and it's a paint that I really have great success with. But I'll tell you what, one of the best paints out there is good old fashioned Testers just the little square, what is this, a quarter ounce. This works absolutely awesome for, their gloss colors work awesome for automotive colors. This is a metallic blue, and it's shown up on a few of my projects that you know, we'll run into from time to time. Anyway, this paint works very good, but what do I thin it with? Good question. I thin all my enamels with just lacquer thinner. I know, it's kind of strange, huh? But I find that it causes it to flow good. It flashes off quickly, and I can recoat quickly. So for me, yeah, enamels, I absolutely love them, but I can't get them in everything. So, oh, here's a railroad color I like. Yeah, good old railroad colors. Remember those? Yeah, that's pretty good. Every once in a while, I do have to go and use an acrylic, and I do really like the Tamiya acrylics. They work very well for me to spray. Brush painting, yeah, not so much, but you can brush paint with them. There's some great thinners out there. Tamiya makes a good thinner for it. They make their lacquer thinner, works very well with it. I have my own mixture that I use, which is a 99% isopropyl alcohol, and I mix that with xylene, and I have my little concoction here that I use to thin. That's 99% isopropyl. Yeah, that's pretty hot isopropyl. Anyway, that's what I use to spray my Tamiya with. So that works really well. Now, for brush painting, I will use the Vallejos. Vallejos I find work very well for brush painting figures and different things I got to brush paint with. But probably my favorite acrylic all around is Mission Models. Yeah, this is my go-to for so many things. The primer red, red oxide primer, the black primer, the white primer. I use these colors for a lot of different things. So those are kind of the paints, and I thin those with Mission Models thinner. I do use his thinner, and I use his what is that stuff? It's the polyurethane additive as well to make that paint just really, you know, rock hard. So anyway, those are kind of the tools I use. Brushes, just a whole different assortment of brushes. And as far as my airbrush, well, my airbrush is an Iwata Revolution CR, and I have had this thing for 2000. I don't know. I've had this, what, 15, 16 years? I have to think about that for a minute. Anyway, I do keep it clean. It works excellent for me. Haven't had any issues with it at all. And I plug it into my compressor, and I won't show you my compressor because it's under the table here. But I have just an old Craftsman. It's like a 5-gallon tank. Okay, 7-gallon tank. Half horsepower, whatever. I have used it to spray a car before, and actually my pickup truck. And I also use it here to spray my models. It works great. Yeah, certainly. See, there you go. It is there. So those are the basic tools I use to do my modeling with. As far as nipping things off, well, I have these little nippers here that I will use to get things off of the sprue. So, you know, I'll cut things off the sprue with this. Now, there are really good ones out there. Tamiya makes some good ones. There are some great sprue nippers. This is just what I happen to use, as well as some emery boards for some sanding, and there is some good old-fashioned sanding sticks, the Flexophiles, that I use as well. There's some polishing pads. I don't have those handy right here. They're in my toolbox, and I'm not going to get them out right now, and we'll talk about polishing pads another time. Anyway, I just wanted to share with you kind of the basic things that I use when I do my modeling. There's a few specialty things for decals and whatnot. We can cover those another time. So anyway, I hope you learned something from this, and we're going to cover more of these kind of things, get a little bit more into detail in some of the future videos. So thank you for watching.